Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Michele Jutrisa and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stamping Up here in New South Wales, Australia. Now I've just jumped on and I'm right on time, so that's good. Okay, so please, if you're new on here, haven't been on here before, please jump on, say hello, let us know where you're from. And it's always great to say hello to new people. So today we're going to play with a product that I haven't, I played with it one other time quite a while ago. And let me just bring up my desk so you can see what I've got here. This is the Floral Delight. It's in the mini catalogue. Mini catalogue goes up until April. And I have, in a previous live, done something with this, but I thought today I'd like to have a play with it again. But this time, I think last time I used these flowers here. This time I'm going to do something with the smaller flowers here. So let me just flip this page over and just show you a little bit about this delightful suite. Now, this is a suite, and what that means, what they've done is they've given us all the products here, so we can complete a whole, as many cards as we want, basically. So they've designed, hello Deborah, how are you? They've designed about 6 different items that all work together, and you can order all of those items as one whole complete suite. So it's a suite collection by using the numbering up the top here, 164716, and that whole suite here in Australia is $155.25. But you don't have to order this as a suite. If there's certain elements that you like out of this, you can order these individually. But I always do recommend that you order the stamps and the dies together. So you have the stamp set here, and then there is a set of dies, so you can cut out these images, but it also has extra dies in here, so you can cut out some of the flower pieces and then lay them up. So I always recommend buying those together, so then you get your 10% discount on that. And also with this suite you have some ribbon, and there's these lovely little bee pieces, and I'm not quite sure. I think I still use me leaning across my desk here. I've got them all here. So these are the little bees. They are so cute. If I can get them open. So they're a little tiny weeny little bee. Just sits on my finger there in gold. Now let me just see if I can bring that up for you there so you can see it. So it is very, very small. Really great just to add that extra little element to your card. Hello, Leslie. Thanks for joining. Oh, you got your parcel yesterday. Great. Wonderful. That is fantastic. Leslie bought a couple of my bow makers. I'm not quite sure where mine is at the moment. It's hiding. Which are these? You can get one of these for free when you spend $50 or more. Leslie paid $10 for one of these, and that included postage as well. So if you do want one, let me know. I've only got a few left. So, but anyway, we're getting a bit sidetracked. But thank you, Leslie. Thank you for purchasing from me, and thank you for jumping on and joining us today. So with this suite, we've also got 2 different packs of paper. This one here, which is called the Floral and Gingham Vellum. So they're a vellum, they're a sheer type paper, so you do have to watch out how you glue them down. You want to glue it in areas where you've got a little bit of density, whether that be colour or like in the behind the flowers or whatever. If you're using a sheer vellum, put something over the top and you hide it. So it could be that you might have, say, a die-cut circle or a flower over the top of your vellum. Well, they're the areas that you can actually hide your glue, because with using vellum, especially with the sheer vellum, the white vellum, glue and things will hold through. But anyway, there's not that much of a problem with this one because it's not quite opaque. It has got a printer on it. It's very, very easy to hide the vellum. And I actually find the seal is very good behind the vellum. It doesn't show up as much. So that's just something you can think about using. It also comes with these lovely designer series papers, which you can hand cut if you want or use them as backgrounds. Really lovely papers. So today we're going to be using the vellum. We're going to be using our stamp and die bundle. We may even put on some of these little gold elements here. I wasn't planning on using the ribbons. I haven't pulled that out. But anyway, let's start making. Let's start creating. So I'm going to pop up first up so you can see what I've got here. Where are we? Let me have a look. Now, there are our measurements that I will be using. I haven't got them all done in inches. I'm terribly sorry because I've just finished designing this card and then just got quickly into writing up all those measurements, but they're the basic measurements we're using. These ones here, which are your the die cutting and stamping pieces, I've given you the measurements there, but really you only need to use something that's like a scraps, sort of leftover pieces of cardstock. So there's quite a bit of stamping and die cutting in there, and then the pecan pie below is also a bit of die cutting there. So I'll bring those measurements up again at the end. So let me just remove them for now, and we'll come back to me and my desk, and let me show you what I've got. So I've got my pool party base here, and so this one here is 10.5 by 29.9, and I have scored it at 14.9. Now, I do like doing 10-fold cards because they're very easy to photograph when it comes to the photography at the end of this. But it's up to you whether you do a book fold or whether you do a 10-fold. I've got 2 pieces of basic white, and they're cut at 10 by 14.4. Now, one of these pieces is going to go on the inside of our card as our card insert, and the other piece is going to go on the front. Now, I have already, just to save us a little bit of time, I've already embossed it, and the embossing folder that I am using is the Eyelet 3D embossing folder, but it can be any embossing folder that you like. I just like this, well, I just wanted to emboss my cardstock because I love texture on my cards. Now, I've lost the chat, so let me bring the chat back up so then I can see everybody there and all your comments. So that's the embossing folder I chose to use for this one. So as I said, I have already embossed that. Now, I did find that with embossing that, the cardstock shrinks up a little bit. So it has shrunk by about 1 millimetre. I'm not going to worry about it too much for my card front because I don't think you're going to notice it. But if I put it against this piece, because these 2 pieces were cut at the same size, I don't know whether you can see it, but right up the top there, we've lost about 1 mil, 1.5 mil in length. So what I did have to do, I've cut my vellum. So this is one of the vellums, okay. I've cut my vellum at 6 centimetres by 14.1. I just had to take a couple extra or 1.5 millimetre off this because I wanted a little bit of a space around my vellum, but because this sort of shrunk up a bit with the embossing, I just had to trim this down just a fraction. Okay, I've also got another piece of vellum here, and now this strip here is about 1.5 centimetres or half an inch, and it's going to get adhered onto my card insert. So that's my card insert strip. So that is 1.5 centimetres by 14.4. Or that would be, because I know I didn't put the measurements down for this in inches, but half an inch probably by I'm trying to think, the length of in inches, the length of a card front in a letter card is 5.5, 5.25. So yeah, 5.25 would be the length of that piece there if you're doing that using the letter fold. Hello, Linny. Thanks for joining. So let's start adhering little bits and pieces that we've got here, and then I can show you what we're going to do with the stamping. So let's pop this piece on here first. Got up before thinking, now there was something I needed, and you know what? I forgot what I needed, and now I've just realised what it was that I needed. I just wanted to get an extra glue. So if I don't have enough glue, I may have to jump up and grab some more glue. So I'm sorry about that. Now I'm just using the seal on the back of this vellum because, as I said before, I actually find the seal's not too bad. There are adhesives out there to use on vellum, but this is pretty good. And the fact that it actually has a print on there tends to hide the glue as well. Now, if you're using a white vellum, you couldn't do that. It'll just show right through, and where you would hide it by putting something over the top of it. So that one there, we're going to pop that straight into our card. Now I'm going to go back to my multi-purpose glue for this. Whoops. Went off the edge there a little bit. Try not to go off the edge because you don't want your glue oozing out. So I'm just wiping that off a bit. And we're going to pop that on the inside of our card. Just lining that up and giving that a really good rub. I like to turn it upside down and give it a good rub on the back. Now, the reason why I'm rubbing it is that glue that's in there, if I just let it dry on its own, it'll actually stay. Where it's a bit thicker in some places and finer, where it's thicker, will become like a dry globule underneath. So by rubbing it, I'm spreading that glue around. So just give that a really good rub, and a little bit of that glue has oozed out. So I'm just going to grab an eraser here, but this one's fairly dirty, so I don't really want to. I'll use this. This is a glue lifter, and I just want to go over that a little bit. You do have to test these because I'm using a vellum. It's not going to damage the cardstock. I have used one of these on that white core double-sided cardstock because I got a little bit of glue on one of my scrapbook pages. Not a great idea. It actually took the colour, and the same with a white eraser, took the colour out of my cardstock. Now, regular cardstock, if I got the glue on that, I'd have no problems. But just always test a scrap piece first. Put a bit of glue on it, let it dry off, and see if you can get it off with one of these. The other thing that you can do, if you don't want to go at it with a glue lifter, is use your embossing buddy. Just go over the top of it, putting that little bit of, it's like a cornflour, putting that a little bit over the top of it just takes the stickiness away from your cardstock. So that's what to do if you get glue where you don't want it. But as I said, the double-sided, the two-tone white core cardstock, if you get glue on it, just use your embossing buddy because you may take the colour out, especially if it's a dark colour like a bright colour. I think I was doing it on Pretty Peacock, and it did lift that colour out of it. So be very, very aware of that if you're using those cardstocks. Great cardstock, but you just got to be a little bit more careful with that adhesive. So I've got my embossed piece here, and I'm going to adhere that directly on the top. And again, I'm going to use my multi-purpose glue. And I always like to have my glue probably about a half a centimetre in from my edges, and that just allows it to spread outwards. So, hopefully I don't get that too much oozing at the sides. Again, give that a little bit of a rub, but I'm doing a gentler rub this time because you don't want a flat and lovely embossing, that nice texture. Okay, so now we've got our piece of vellum again, and we are going to leave a little bit of a white edge around. So if you don't have enough, as I've said before, just give this one a trim down a little bit. So again, I'm going to use my seal for this. Now, I'm actually just going to pop a little bit of this in the middle. I'm not going around the edges. This is where I'm going to hide it. So this is what I was talking about before. If you find your vellum, your adhesive does show through your vellum, put it in a place where you're going to be covering it up, where it's not going to be as noticeable. So I've just done a little piece there, which is probably about 3 or 4 centimetres in length, and that's going to be enough to hold on. By the time I put other bits and pieces on this and over the top, it's going to be well and truly hidden. Okay, so it's just got that little bit of glue there. You can't see it because of the print, but it's just a really good rule of thumb. Now, you will get this lifting a little bit. If you find it's lifting too much on your cardstocks after you've put your decoration and everything on, you might want to go through and just pop a little glue dot or something underneath, and then pop on one of the bees on top of it just to cover it up. Okay, so that's something that you can do. So let's start die cutting and stamping. So I've got a whole stack of things here, my scrap papers here, and we're going to do a little bit of die cutting. Now, I've already done some of this, so I'm just going to show you what you need. So here we've got the pecan pie cardstock, and all I'm going to do is die cut one of those branches out. Now, that's one of the dies that come with the set, and I have very luckily already got one. So there's that already done. So I'm going to pop that piece to one side and pop our die over there. The next piece we're going to do is we're going to cut using this die. Now, this one here is from the Everyday Details dies. Now, I'm hoping these are still available. I haven't checked. There's quite a few things that are very slowly starting to disappear out of our catalogues at the moment with the exclusives, but this one wasn't exclusive, so I'm assuming it's still okay, but I just haven't checked it. So we're going to cut one of these. Now, this die here actually cuts in the middle, and it's got 2 rows of holes on either side. So what you can do, you could cut a card front piece there, pop that in, and you get 2 for the price of 1, as they say. And guess what? Luckily, I've got a whole stack of these here under my desk, so I don't need to cut one of those. So that's what we're going to end up with, is a piece just like that. So again, I'm going to pop my die over there and my cardstock there. So there's 2 pieces there. Okay, so what I want to show you is, now I've got to remember what all these little bits and pieces are for. So we're going to do some stamping. So let's just start with that, because these are the only 2 pieces that I've got that are die cut without any stamping on it. So that's why they're there and out of the road. So I've decided, because these papers come in the yellows, I'm sticking with those yellows in the Lemon Lolly and the Daffodil Delight. Now, of course, because we're doing a pool party background, if you wanted to do these in pinks, you can do it in pinks. You can do your dark colour or if you wanted to say, for example, I've got this one here because I was playing with it, Bubble Bath. You could stamp the intricate detailed stamp in the full strength Bubble Bath, and then you could stamp off when you do the solid image over the top. I have found today that it is probably a lot easier starting with the detailed stamp first, and let me show you what I mean. This is a 2-step stamp. So what you have is this stamp here. Let me see if I've got, pop that underneath. I don't know whether you can see that as well. but that's got a lot of detail in it. Then this stamp here is more of a solid image of the flowers. Now I'm going to stamp the detailed one first, and I'm going to stamp that in the Daffodil Delight. So just because I'm doing this in yellow and the suite is all based in yellow doesn't mean you have to have yellow flowers, because you can make whatever colour flowers you want. So as I said, I'm going to start with my Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to stamp this twice. So I want to have plenty of flowers just in case I need a few extra. So I'm going to stamp that one, and then directly underneath I'm going to stamp that one again. Now in the measurements, I can't remember whether I gave the full measurement of this or just enough to stamp one lot, but as I said, just you could use up all your scraps, and that's basically what I'm using here, is a lot of scraps. So there's my first one there. By stamping the darker colour down first, it makes it a lot easier to line up the lighter one. So I'm going to grab now my lighter one, and hopefully I won't get my head over the top. And what I'm going to do is ink this up. Now, if you were using the same colour, because the Daffodil Delight and the Lemon Lolly work really well, but if you're going to use Bubble Bath and you didn't want to use a darker colour with it, this is where you would stamp off to get a lighter version of this. Now, I'm just having a look at this here to see where I've got to position the stamp. Now, I don't know whether you can see, but see, you've got two little lines right there. Now, that's like a little bud. And if I look at this, that's it there. So that's that little one right there. So I'm going to line that up with that. And then I'm going to, before I put this down, I'm just lining up all of those flowers. But that's how I know the direction I want this stamp to go, is because I'm looking for that little bud. It's the only bud on the whole stamp. And that's what you end up with. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on that one. And I'm going to look for that little bud there, knowing that that is that there. I'm just going to turn this around. So I'll turn my stamp block around to match. I'm going to start by lining up that with that bud, and then line up all those other pieces. I'm sorry if my head is in the road. So because this is a photopolymer stamp and you can see right through, and I probably should have had my foam mat underneath. But I find it works quite well actually on the glass plate. But if you're going to do it on anything else, I do recommend having your mat. And I've just got a thin foam mat, which actually came from the Stamparatus when we had the Stamparatus. So that's two lots of my flowers there stamped. The next thing I want to stamp, I'm going to pop that there, is my leaves. Now I've chosen Old Olive for my leaves, but I do want to stamp off here. So I've got a piece of scratch paper here. And I don't want to do that on there. Oh, yes, I do. There's a few things I want to show you with the leaves. There's different ways you can stamp these leaves. We can stamp these leaves doing full strength ink. I'm actually going to get that little foam piece and pop it underneath, just so then there we go. So that's that in full strength. And if you wanted to, you could do a couple of those. So you had a few in full strength. But I've thought that that might be a little bit dark. It's going to become, because the flowers are so much lighter in colour, that's very strong against it. So I'm going to stamp off. So then that can give you a lighter colour. So it's still in the Old Olive, but it's just giving us a little bit of a lighter colour. Now, I thought that's great. That looks wonderful. got it, you know, it's lighter, but it's all the same tone. Leaves aren't all the same tone. So with our flowers, we've got that two-tone effect by doing the two-step stamping. But with our leaves, we've only got one stamp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp off. So now I've got it lighter. I'm going to grab a dauber and I'm just going to add a little bit of colour. Then hopefully when I stamp that off, I've got a different shade. So let me just bring that up so you can see. So we've got full strength, stamped off, and then this one here, we're adding a little bit extra shading to it. And that's the one that I like to use. So it just takes a little bit of more work, a little bit of time, and you can add a little bit extra on different parts. You don't have to add it all on the same section. That one there is, I put a little bit more coverage on it. So this one here, so you can get some quite good variation of leaves. Now you could even use a mixture of some leaves done like this, some leaves done like that. The other thing that you could do is you could take your stamp, ink it up, take off the ink, and then very gently roll it in the ink. And I'm going to stamp this up the top up here. And you've just got that little bit of a darker edge on it. The other thing you could do, again, stamp it off, do that rock and roll thing, but grab your dauber and just soften that up a little bit. It didn't soften up hugely well. We could do a little bit more than that. Let's see if we can do that a little bit better. So let's see if we can give it a bit of a rock in there. And I'm just sort of slightly brushing that in a bit. So I'm taking away that sharp edge. Okay, so there's different ways that you can actually stamp that one stamp and get lots of different effects. Now I've already stamped and die cut all my leaves because I did quite a few, and I've actually used this particular method with a few that I've just stamped off. Okay, so just to give a bit of variety, but I've already done that just to make this speed along a little bit. So I have got all my leaves here. Just grab them all. Oops, don't want to lose them. So there, all my leaves all done. Yeah, it does look good, Leslie. It's gives you a nice variety. You know, you can change things up quite a bit. Okay, so what do we have next to do? We're going to die cut those. We've already die cut our leaves. That's okay, but we still need to do that. I've got a spare piece of cardstock. I'll just pop that over there. We're going to stamp part of our sentiment. So I've got the word sentiment out of this, which is wishing. Okay, now there's two different ways you could use this. There is a very thin die, so you can, if I wanted to, I could cut the wishing out in old olive cardstock in a very, very thin die. Let me see if I can pull that out. Now what I would do is actually put a piece of adhesive sheet behind my old olive before cutting that out. So you can do that. Now, I think the catalogue actually shows a very good example of it. Let me just have a look, see if I can find that in here. Let's go back to that page. Okay, so let me show you on this because it's probably really well explained here. So you can actually stamp just your wishing onto a piece of cardstock and put your sentiment underneath. So they've done that there in that tag. This one here, they've stamped the wishing, so they've done that, and then they've die cut it. Okay, and then added that on top of a piece of designer series paper. So I'll just show you there. So it's an actually extra piece. So they've stepped it up. Then they've stepped it up again. Now this is where you can actually cut the narrow one in just say like white cardstock, cut the thicker one. I was saying the thinner one before, but it is the thicker one in old olive, or you could do it the other way around, do the old olive in the thin one. And then adhere those two pieces together, which would end up like that one there. Now, this is the one I would put adhesive sheet underneath it. Now, this they've done white on old olive, or you could easily do olive on old olive on white or basic white. So it's really up to you. So that's a really good example. And this is what this is where these catalogs come really, really handy, because there are some great tips in there. So follow your catalogs looking for those ideas. So what we're going to do is we're using the die to cut a thin die, but I'm going to stamp it. So I'm stamping and die cutting. And I'm using the thick die. Sorry, I'm getting myself confused a bit now. Okay, so there's my cardstock, and I'm going to stamp this in the old olive. Just hold it down for a few seconds just to let that ink absorb. There we are, and then we're going to die cut that using that die. That's the thicker die, a wider die, not that fine one. Okay. So wishing on its own is not going to mean anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to add another part of our sentiment. This stamp set gives you the option of having wishing you are here, wishing you all the best, wishing you a happy birthday, wishing lots of love, wishing you well. So I'm going with you a happy birthday. And I have got that stamp over here. And I'm going to bring in the pecan pie for that one, just so there's a bit of a contrast in my words. So again, we're just going to ink that up and stamp that right in the center there. Put that over there. And then this particular bundle also has a die to cut out that sentiment. Now, if you're only using a one of the smaller portions after the wishing, you could move this die along and just take the section out that you want. You'd have to cut that down, or you could cut it square, whichever your preference. Okay, so I've already done the wishing, and I've already die cut the happy birthday. So we're going to just remove those for the moment, but I do need to die cut my flowers. Okay, so let's grab that. Move all that out of the road. Whoops, there's mine. I've got two sets of these plates, so just grab the wrong set. We're going to need that one and that, and we're just going to, again, line all this up. Just going to pop a Post-it note tape on there just to hold that in place. That die doesn't move. And run that through. Now, the reason why I wanted 2 sets of these flowers is I just wanted to make sure that I had enough flowers because I didn't want it looking too sparse. So I've got another set here which I've already stamped and die cut. And then we have this set as well. So pop all those out. And there's some extra. So we've got lots of flowers, lots of leaves. And now it's the fun part. So we can pop all of this together. So let's bring in our card front again, and we're going to take this little panel here. There's all our die cut pieces, and we're going to adhere this onto there. Now, as I said, because we're adhering something on top, I could have put a little bit more adhesive underneath this if I wanted to, but this is going to actually hold it down quite well. So I'm going to pop a bit of glue on here. Now again, I'm only putting it in the center because I don't want it oozing out past those holes or through those holes. And I'm going to pop that right in the center there of my card. Just give that a little bit of a press just to hold that. Next thing we're going to do is add our branch. So I want that to go a little bit at an angle like that. And I'm just wondering whether I can find I've got a pair of tweezers here somewhere. Oh, let me have a look. They should be in here. There they are, the tweezers that came with our embossing kit. These are reverse tweezers, so really handy when you have things like this you want to add glue to. So I'm just going to add some little bit of glue on each of those. I'm not worrying too much about putting lots of glue on here because when we put the flowers over the top, that will tend to hold that down, and we want that sort of going at an angle. Push all that down and just make sure that's all adhered. But our flowers and everything will actually stick that down. Now my wishing I'm going to pop across there, but I am thinking, and my happy birthday, I need to pop some of the mini dimensionals on the back of that. I definitely want the happy birthday up on dimensionals. The thin one might be, the word wishing might be too hard to get up on dimensionals, so it might have to be glued on after I've put the flowers down. I'm just going to pop 3 mini dimensionals along there. I'm just getting a bit of an idea at the moment where I want all these to go. So that's probably going to go around about there, like that. Let's just pop some flowers on there now and have a look. So we've got these sets here, which is a set of 3 flowers. We've got 2 of those because we've done 2 of everything. So let's just grab one of these, and I'm going to pop maybe that across there. Just laying these down for the moment just to sort of see where they can all fit. So we have those, and then we have some of these leaves. Now here's one that I've done in the tricolour. So I'm thinking that may go there. There's another one that I've done with the extra colour on it. So I'm just laying these out just to see where I want these to fit. Take that one up that just a little bit higher up, and that one there can come down a little bit. Okay, I'm going to start with something like that. We've got extras here if we need to fill them in a bit. So I'm going to start by popping some of these dimensionals on the back of some of these. I'm going to pop that one. Now you could, if you wanted to, glue your leaves down, but I'm actually going to glue down, pop the flower down first, then glue, because I like to tuck things under. So that one can go there. This one here, I'll pop another dimensional underneath it. Now you can put more flowers, more leaves on this because we've done double of everything. So we've got lots here to play around with. Don't be afraid of having some of these going out. And I'm going to actually pop this little flower here. I'm putting glue on the back of that, and I'm going to pop that underneath because I want this bud to be on a dimensional. And it's going to go just there. And then that can go push just underneath that stem as well. Okay, this one here I'm going to glue down because I'm going to have the sentiment going over the top. But my glue is only in the middle, so I can still put these leaves in and around it. So I've got room just to push that in underneath there. I'm just going to take that one out for a second, those two. And I'm going to grab another leaf. That one there will do. A little bit too much glue on that. I'll just wipe that away. Now that's going to go on there like that. I'm just sitting that on top for the moment just to sort of see where it's all going to go. This one here I want to pop onto a dimensional. Pop that down. It's not quite adhering onto that embossing. So I want to pop that one there. There. Now, of course, if you don't want to have the 2 leaves, you can just grab a pair of scissors, just snip that off. I want to have a single one across there like that. I'm just going to take the backings off this and put this down because I know that that's where that's going to go. Oops. So that's going to go on there like that. Okay, so let's have a quick look and see what else we can do. I do have another little bud piece there. Just wondering whether what do I add? Not quite sure. Just sort of got this little piece sticking out here. Don't know whether I need to put more on there or not. Don't mind that little bit there. Let's have a look. Let's pop our wishing there. You've got to be very careful because this is almost the full width of the card. And I'm going to try see if I've got a little half piece of dimensional there. And I'm going to see if I can just trim just some little pieces. Use some of these little pieces of dimensionals on here. So I just want to give this a little bit more of a lift. It's always good to cut up some of these edges. Just got to make sure you cut them down small enough. Have them tucked into little spots. Okay, I need one more thin piece. It's only a couple of millimeters in thickness. Okay, let's take the backs of these off here. That piece is going to go, oops, just across a little bit further. Okay, that's just sitting on that nicely. And we'll just sort of now see whether we need to add a few more leaves or not. Let's have a look. I think I almost got enough, I think. without adding too much more on there. But what I will have a look at is adding a couple of these on there, just with a glue dot on the back. So I'm just going to take my take a pick tool. I've got the pointy end here. I'm just going to see if I can roll up a glue dot. Just want to roll it into a little bit of a ball. I'm going to pop one there. Use that to pick one up. I'm going to pop 3 of these on. So we've got one there. Pop one just there. And one more. I've just got a glue dot on the tip of my take a pick tool, and I'm just rolled it up to a ball, and I'm just using that to pick up, and that's going to fill in that hole there. So I'm using that rolled up ball of glue just to pick up that little bee. There we go. So there's my card for today. Let me just get rid of some of this rubbish out of here. Don't need all of those. So it's just a really fun and simple little card using the products from the mini catalogue. Let me see if I can get the right one and page for you. So the Floral Delight. Now, as I said before, that whole suite is $155. So if you purchase that, you've still got time to get some of the products from the celebration. That doesn't finish to the end of the month. So we've got about another, the 21st? About another week. Remember, it's a short month this year. Being a leap year, must be. So, you could also, if you purchased this whole suite, you could also choose something out of that celebration kit. But remember, these products that I'm showing you today out of the mini catalogue go to the end of April, but the celebration finishes at the end of this month. So I hope you've enjoyed my card. If you do want to purchase anything from me, you can go to butterfliesandbows.com and you'll find a link there to my shop. Otherwise, you can find me by michelejutrisa.stampingup.net, and that will also take you to my online store. So I hope you've enjoyed today. Thank you very much for jumping on and joining me. It's been lovely having you all here. Hopefully soon I will be back to doing Tuesday nights, but at the moment I'm still sticking just with my Fridays just for a little bit longer. So I will see you next Friday when we create something else. So take care, have a great day, and let me just pop up those measurements again so you can see them if you need them. Otherwise, they will be on my blog, and I will have all the inches and everything filled in as well. So that's all the measurements that I've used, both in the imperial letter size or the metric A4. Okay. So let me remove that now. And we'll just bring me back up. As I said, have a wonderful weekend and take care. And I will catch up with you all next week. Bye for now.